Now guys, we are going to learn operations with radical expressions. Operations like how can we add radicals, how can we subtract them, how can we multiply them, how can we divide them. So we are going to start with the product property. Product is the answer of multiplication, so we're going to see how can we multiply radicals. For any real numbers a and b, and any integer n greater than 1. N is the index. It has to be greater than 1. And a and b, these are real numbers. If we multiply two radicals having the same index, then the answer is the same radical index is going to stay as it is, and then we multiply the radicands. We multiply the inside and we keep the radical and the index as it is. Of course, if n is even, then a and b has to be non-negative, so we can do the root, because to find even root, this number and the other number has to be non-negative. If n is odd, then it doesn't matter. These could be positive or negative. So now let's see an example. Say I want to multiply square root of 3 times square root of 27. So now we have the same index, which is invisible too. So the answer is going to stay square root. Then we multiply the inside. 3 times 27. Square root of 3 by itself, we don't know a number times itself is going to give you exactly 3. Same with the 27. We don't know a number times itself equal 27. But now we can do the multiplication. We keep them in the square root and we multiply 3 times 27. Now the answer is 81. Square root of 81, yeah, we can find square root of 81, which is 9. Now in order for a radical to be in its simplest form, the radicand, the inside, must contain no factors that are nth power. Like if I'm doing x squared, I can't have something power 2 inside. It has to be, the power has to be less than 2. If I'm doing if we are doing like fifth root, then I can't have something inside the radical which is raised to power 5 or power 6. It has to be raised to power less than 5. If it's more, we are going to see in the examples what can we do. So here an example. We want to find 4th root of x power 5. Now you see now the power over here, the number of the factors of x is 5. It's more than 4. So this is not in its simplest form. How can we simplify it? We can rewrite x power 5 as x power 4 times x power 1. Then this x power 4, we can find an answer to it. So when we separate them, 4th root of x power 4 times 4th root of x, this one has an answer which is x power, we are going to divide 4 by 4, so the answer is going to be x power 1. So this needs to be corrected. It should be x power 1. When the power is 1, we just make it invisible. So it's x multiplied by the 4th root of x. So now there is no factor inside here has a power which is 4 or more than 4. Another example. We want to simplify square root of 32 multiplied by x power 8. We know that 32, as we have seen before, it's 2 power 5, x power 8. Now this is a square root. So now this number of factors cannot be 2 or more than 2. Same thing over here. So we need to simplify. How are we going to do that? Instead of 2 power 5, we're going to write it as 2 power 4, such that this 4 is divisible by the invisible 2, times 2 power 1. So if we multiply 2 power 4 times 2 power 1, we add the exponents and we keep the base, so we get 2 power 5. That's just to check if we're doing it right or wrong. X power 8. 8 is already divisible by the index 2, so I'm not going to mess with it. Now, we're going to do the square root of each one of these. Square root of 2 power 4, you need to divide that exponent by 2. So it's going to be 2 to the power 2. This is 2 power 1, so we leave it inside the radical. X power 8, we divide the 8 by 2, we get x power 4. So our answer is 2 power 2. We're just going to put it in order, like we like to put the radical all the way at the end. So it's going to be 2 power 2, x power 4, square root of 2. Here's another example. 4th root of 16 multiplied by a power 25. Oh, over here you have to be so careful, because the index is even and the power over here also is even. So if the result is going to be odd, you are going to have to put it in absolute value. B power 15. So 2 power 16, we did that before, it's 2 power 4. A power 24, I'm going to leave it as it is because 24 I can divide it by 4. That's not a big deal. But B power 15, 15 is not divisible by 4, but 15 is greater than 4. So this is not in its simplest form. So what we are going to do, what is the highest number of 4 goes into 15? Like 4 goes into 15 how many times? 3 times, which is 3 times 4, 12. So I'm going to write it as b power 12, so I can divide that 12 by 4. But when I write it b power 12, how many b's are left from 12 to 15? 3 more b's, b power 3. Now we do the radical of each of these. 2 power 4, we are going to divide the power by the index, so it's going to be 2 power 1. 2 is positive, so you don't have to worry about the absolute value. A power 24, you're going to divide the 24 by 4. You get a power 6. Oh, now the answer is not odd, so you don't have to worry. A power 6, that's always positive. B power 12, now you see that index is even and that power here is even. But when I divide 12 by 4, I get odd number, which is 3. So when both of them are even and the result is odd, you have to put it in absolute value as we mentioned before. Then this b power 3 is going to stay inside the radical. We're just going to arrange it. So what we are going to do, it's already arranged actually, because the radical is all the way at the end. So we are done. Now here's 2 problem practice for you. The first problem, you want to find the square root of 12 multiplied by c power 6 multiplied by d power 3. We want to find the square root. How are we going to find square root of 12? Square root of 12. Let's look at 12 and let's do the prime, do the 3 factorization. 12 is 2 times 6. 2 is prime. 6 is 2 times 3. 2 is prime. So actually we have 2 2's. So I can rewrite this problem like this. Instead of 12, I'm going to write 2 power 2 times 3 times c power 6 and 6 is divisible by 2, so that's good. We don't want to mess with this. D power 3, but 3 is not divisible by 2, so we are going to write it like this: d power 2 times d power 1. Then we get the answer. We get the square root of each one of these. 2 power 2, when I find the square root, I just divide that by 2. So it's going to be 2 power 1. The 1 is invisible. 3 doesn't have a square root. So 3 is going to stay inside the root. C power 6, that's even and that's even. We're going to divide 6 by 2. We're going to get C power 3. Now remember, when both are even, and the result has odd power, you have to put it in absolute value. D power 2 is going to be D power 1. Then we have the square root of D.